Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth that there's no such thing as coincidence or mistakes. And we are here to share that, um, to share with you our examples of that. And I have one today, which I'm really excited about. And that's why I'm stumbling on my words. Hi, I'm Deb Miller.
I am Susan Doyle. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
How
How's
are
it
you today?
going in Connecticut? Did you get like yesterday we were on a call together and you lost power.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to tell the audience that we actually we had a podcast. We were recording something yesterday, and, we always say to everybody that we're really not all that technologically savvy. So we're going about our business, and I sit at my work desk when we do this together. So I have two monitors up and a keyboard behind my laptop that we record on. And the two monitors behind me go completely black, and I'm like, oh, we must have just lost power from not even thinking that I was going to lose power on the laptop and lose internet. So I just, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at you and your face is completely frozen. I'm like, guess that didn't really work out so well. So here we are back again. Take two.
That's so funny because when your face froze, I was like, "Oh, I guess we we must have lost her." And I am laughing because I'm like, "Look at her face. It's frozen." And I'm like, "Okay, I think I should wrap this up." I thought maybe we were still filming, but we weren't. And it was just funny to see. It's always funny when people's faces freeze. You're always in the middle of saying something and
Yeah. Or my eyes would be closed or, something like that. So, yeah.
so if your
Anyway,
monitors go black today, then we know there's no power and we'll just, yeah.
and we'll just keep going. We'll just maybe keep going. I did try, then I called you and I'm like, you weren't picking up. And I'm thinking, is she still on the screen? Still talking to me. I'm like, hmm, okay, all righty. I think maybe we should just call it a day.
I don't know about you, but I'm still going to record this podcast. We'll just pretend she's not frozen.
Oh my goodness. So, um, what's going on?
Oh my gosh. So,
Anything good?
yes, I got to tell you this story. Here's one of the examples why we know that there's no coincidences or mistakes. So, I as one of my side gigs, I dog sit and I dog walk and I dog sit. And I was dog sitting for this woman who lives, not too far from me. But anyways,
And that's because, so tell the audience, that's because you live in a condo complex that doesn't allow dogs.
right.
And
We're
you're a
not
dog
allowed to
person, like
have-
to your core.
Yeah, I am an animal person except for cats. And I love dogs so much. And so I've never not had a dog. Um, do you remember the golden retriever I had growing up?
Yes, yes, Tara.
She was a lunatic. Do you remember
Tara.
how scary she was? She used to, I remember having a friend over and we literally were standing on our dining room table because she was like coming at us. She was a little tapped. I'm not sure she was the right, like she was a weird mix, but yeah, she was tough. But as she got
Maybe
older,
there was a little too much inbreeding in her
I
family.
think so, but she was so cute. But she was tough. But anyways, I've always had a dog in my family. And we recently had two dogs, and they both died within 9 days of each other.
Mm.
They were old, they were 14. One was a golden doodle and one was a Boston Terrier. Um, and so we saw it kind of happening, and then when we lost them, that's when we moved into this condo and they don't allow dogs. So I immediately get on the neighborhood app and I'm like, hey, if anybody wants their dog walked, would love to have some dog time. And then my phone just blew up. So I have a lot of clients that I either dog sit for or dog or walk dogs for, in addition to my consulting. But anyways, she has me over to her house. I've been to her house many, many times, but I've never slept over. So she has me over and she says, okay, these are my 3 guest bedrooms. And she said, which one would you like to stay in? And I was like, I have no idea. And so I just kind of went eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I pointed, I'll stay in this one. She said, okay, fine. I'll make sure the bedding's done, la, la, la. So the first night I'm there, I go into the bathroom, I'm washing my face, brushing my teeth. I think I'm flipping off the light, but I flip on the fan and I hear this zzz. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good. And then I turn it off real quick and then I turn it back on and I don't hear the noise again. And I'm like, or maybe I imagined it or whatever. I turn it off. Then I go ahead and turn the light off and it makes this weird blinking, but then it shuts off. Well, maybe the house is about to burn down. I don't know, but I got to go to bed. It's my bedtime. So I'll deal with it tomorrow. So tomorrow comes and like nothing happens. The light goes on normally. The fan doesn't make that weird noise and fine. Then I'm on my 3rd day, 3rd or 4th day, and I'm about to leave and move out. And same thing happens. Like the light makes this weird noise and flash, and the fan makes this electrical buzzing sound. And so I call Kevin, said, you need to come over. I don't know what's going on, but I think this is a problem. So, and I'm like, but if it's not a problem, I don't want you making fun of me thinking that I'm overreacting because I really think this is a problem. So he comes over, he unscrews the panel where the switches are. And sure enough, the inside is like melted and it has a burning smell to it. And so he's like, oh, this is not good. And so I text,
And you're like, yay, I didn't
I was
panic
like,
for no reason.
"Yay." Exactly. I was like, I know electricity. So I text Kathy and I tell her what's happening. And I said, do you want Kevin to go ahead and fix it? She said, absolutely. Oh my God, I can't believe it. The house could have burned down, la, 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 la. And I was like, yeah. So he fixes it, everything's fine. She's happy. I'm happy. And I just thought to myself, it is no coincidence that I chose that particular room. She never uses that room ever. It has been, she said, probably 4 or 5 years since somebody has stayed in that room.
Oh
She
my
doesn't go
gosh.
in there. Like she doesn't, she's got 3 guest bedrooms. Like, so, and she said, if you didn't stay in there, I would have never have known that this was going to be a problem. I said, well, God makes no mistakes. He puts us where we need to be. And I
Mhm.
needed to be in that room. And
Amen.
yeah, right. So
Amen.
that's my little story about the universal truth. And I don't know what you're thinking about, but today's discussion, I'd really love to talk about all of the things that are happening right now in the world, but more specifically in the United States, because I had something really hit home for me the last couple days, and I kind of wanted to talk about
Yeah,
that.
let's talk about it. What happened?
Well, so my consulting job is, my consulting business is helping small nonprofits um, build a sustainable business. And so we have a program that was created by a consultant that I work with that it's a course. It's a 6-month course. And we find itty bitty small nonprofits, and I'm talking about like the nonprofits that have, maybe 5 people working at them, volunteers, really struggling. They're trying their best to make this world a better place, but it is so difficult. Um, and we support them going through the cohort, and on the other side of it, we support them with resources and anything that we can do once they have completed the course. So through this, we have put through hundreds of small nonprofits. And right now I'm their community manager for this consulting firm. So I am in touch with all of the nonprofits, the executive directors or the volunteers or whomever. And everybody is really losing their shit right now because of the
Mm-hmm.
executive order that was declared and then rescinded, but still we're not out of the woods here. But for that day where the executive order saying that all federal grants must be halted and reviewed, so many of these small nonprofits rely on federal grants to get their
So is the
mission.
federal grant funded? So this is, I'm being very stupid here because I don't really, I worked for a nonprofit, but it was a $5 million
Yeah,
Jewish community center, which was actually, it was more a not for profit rather than a nonprofit.
yeah.
So the difference being is it was a membership dues based facility, but at the end of the year they had to zero out the book. So if we were in the black, they had to either put the money back into, they had to start every year at zero.
Mhm.
So we had to have money to make payroll and capital improvements and things like that. So when a smaller nonprofit applies for a federal grant, who does the federal government fund that federal grant 100%, or how does that work? Like, where
It
does the money
depends.
come from?
Yeah, so it depends. So they can get, sometimes it does 100% come from government funding. Other times they might give a 50% grant. And then the rest of it is up to them to get funding through fundraisers or through
Hmm.
foundations. So it all really depends. And for these, for these nonprofits that I'm connected to, they are very community based in the sense that I'll give you an example. Um, one of these nonprofits it was started by a police officer who he he wasn't injured, but he got sick while he was on the job and he had cancer. And he found it very challenging to get day-to-day tasks done when you're that sick. He was a single dad. He just needed somebody to come out and put the garbage out or to maybe to mow the lawn, maybe to run errands, just small little things like that. When you're really sick or you're in the hospital, those things don't get done. Now he had friends and family that he could depend upon, but you really, you'd feel bad asking all the time for that kind of stuff. So when he got better and he was in remission and ultimately was cancer free, he started this nonprofit that would gather enough funds up so that that funding would be available to hire somebody to come over and mow the lawn, or maybe have somebody come over for the day and do grocery shopping or help you clean your house or whatever. So it's for the people that are struggling like that. So there would
Hmm.
be funding available for them. Well, they were doing fundraiser after fundraiser after fundraiser, which takes a lot of time and resources to do fundraisers. And they would, at the end of the fundraiser, maybe have $2,000 or $3,000. That's not a lot. It's not, and it's like, come on, we can do better. So they might
Hmm.
apply for a grant from the government, and the
Okay.
government might give them a grant. But most of them end up doing just their own personal fundraising, because to get a grant from the government, you have to jump through so many hoops. It's really exhausting, and a lot of people get denied. But
Hmm.
there are the ones that depend on that federal funding for to pay their employees, or to make sure that their mission in the community is fulfilled. Sometimes that might be, buying food for the elderly at the community center or whatever. I don't know. There's a million different causes out there. But without the federal funding, they're not going to survive.
Right.
So a lot of them were getting very, very anxious, and then it was rescinded. So we were like, held our breath all day, and then like, okay, we're okay.
So
And then it was,
earlier, like late last week or earlier this week, there was an executive order put in place where there was no federal grant money going out,
yeah, it was
even
being,
to the people who were awarded those grants, correct?
yes. So they were saying by 5 o'clock, everything's halted, no more money going out. And people were like, this is not okay. Like, we're coming up on a whole new month, and we're relying on those federal funds so we can help our community. And we're not going
It
to get it.
must have been sheer panic, fear, anxiety
Yeah,
bubbling to the surface with all
all
the
of
people that you communicate with.
all of that. So it really got me thinking about when in a position like that, we really need to lean on our positive thoughts, positive beliefs. For me, my faith. Um, we we have it's that faith over fear, and how you can't live in that same space together. You got to choose one. Neither one of them can you touch or feel, fear or faith, belief or, fear. So let's choose the one that is going to be good for us, and believe that our circumstances that are out of our control are going to work out one way or another. And whichever way they work out, it's going to be okay. It's going to hurt like hell. It may hurt like hell. It may cause a lot of grief and a lot of challenges, but you will be okay. You will be okay. Um, and so I have to remind myself of that constantly,
Constantly.
because I
Agreed.
I jumped right on that, like, oh my God, how could it do this? What is happening? La la la, what are we gonna do? And it's not even affecting me personally, but it's affecting people that I care about and are trying to make this world a better place. And they fight daily
Right.
to make that happen. And now all of a sudden this is going, anyway, so then it was rescinded, and I was like, oh, okay. So all of that, when that was a lot of wasted energy. And then now it's like, nope, it's not really rescinded. We still, are looking at this, and it might happen. So now we're in a holding pattern. But what I'm doing this time instead of day one is really just surrendering and saying, I got to believe that everything is going to be okay. And
Sometimes a holding pattern is evokes more fear than the bad news,
yeah,
because you end up in that holding pattern, or at least for me, concocting every single possible scenario,
yeah,
which is, comes out of fear. And it also comes, and I do, and I believe that when we come from a place of fear, it is a knee-jerk reaction because we have not allowed ourselves to pause and take a deep breath.
hmm.
And Viktor Frankl, who is an author,
Love him.
do you love him? I know, who wrote
Yes. Oh,
Man's Search for Meaning.
such a good.
Um, for those of you guys who have not read the book, it's a short book. It's a great read. Little cliff notes, sidebar. He's a Holocaust survivor. Prior to being, oh my God, sent to the concentration camps, he was working on a dissertation about hope,
Yeah,
man's
he was
search for
a
meaning.
psychiatrist.
Right. He was a psychiatrist, and so his theory, his hypothesis was once you give up hope, you've lost your meaning.
Mm. Mm.
So, and I don't even know where I was going with this, but one of his sayings, or one of the things that he truly believed, was in the space between stimulus and excuse me, in between stimulus and response, there is space. And within that space lies your power.
Mhm.
So when you respond with fear as a knee-jerk reaction, you have given all of your power away to that thing that evoked the fear.
Mhm.
That if we can all train ourselves to listen, it's going to come, right? It's going to come down the pike. Things are going to happen that you don't want to happen. But if we could practice a pause, if we could take a deep breath, if we could just allow the thing to come without reacting, we have the power to overcome the fear.
That was so good. I feel like that needs to be put in quotes by Susan Doyle.
Well, it's
I,
actually Viktor Frankl, but I love it. He's
no,
so
but you took
good.
his words and you made it into yours. And I know that.
Basically what he brought to light was, here's a man who it was very highly educated, who was in a concentration camp every single minute of every day. He had no idea whether he was going to live or die. He had no food. He
The
had no
most
family. His entire
deplorable,
family.
yeah, the most deplorable situation.
Yep. His entire family was killed. And he clung to hope. He hoped of that day that he was set free. And once he allowed himself to keep that, he was not fearful.
Mm.
He kept his power over
Yeah.
the situation.
You know, oh God, I love that story so much. And it's so powerful. And I'm going to just make this comment and then we can get back to what we were talking about. But if I was in that situation, like I have no survival instinct. Like it's the fight,
Because
flight,
you haven't been pushed to have to survive.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't even
You
like
do
being,
have more than you give yourself credit for. Listen, you survived an addiction, you survived detox, you overcame your thoughts, your fear of living a life without using substances to help you through.
I guess I'm talking about the physical, physical survival.
Yeah, but I think it all translates into one. I think there's an interwovenness to that.
Yeah, I like to hope that I would fight for my life if it came to a zombie. But I'm like picturing the zombie apocalypse and I'm just like going outside going, go ahead. Because I don't like to be chased. It really scares me when people chase me. So,
Yeah,
but back to
yeah.
fear versus faith. I
So
think
so I think, I guess what in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is something like you can't see faith, you can't touch it. It's just a feeling. It's a mindset, if you will,
yeah.
right? And so how did you put that forth to the folks that you consult with so it landed with them
Well,
and
I
they ultimately came out of their fear?
yeah, so for me, I I'm not the type of person that is going to pretend to feel one way for like I can't hide my feelings. So if I'm feeling fearful, um I'm not going to put on like a happy face like, "Oh, this isn't happening." I'm going to acknowledge it and say, I feel I understand and can relate to what you're feeling right now." Um but I am choosing to believe that the outcome is going to be okay because that is how my mind works. I've been faced with several situations in my life that could have turned out very, very badly. And I leaned into believing that everything was going to be okay. And and ultimately, I was beaten and bruised, but I was okay at the end. So that's where I tend to land. So what we talked about, what I had everybody talk about is a contingency plan. So I know, we're kind of on the fence here and things are a little bit unstable and it might happen, but if it does, let's talk about what people are using for contingency plans so we can all learn from each other. And that kind of got the conversation going and coming up with a solution rather than focusing on, you know, the the problem. And
It's
so
about
what,
putting your energy into something other than fear, because what you said in the beginning of the conversation makes so much sense, is you cannot straddle both.
right?
It doesn't work that way. If
No.
you're choosing fear, you are pushing away faith. If you're choosing faith, faith negates the fear.
That's
You
right.
can't do both. And
Right.
it is a choice. It is a choice for 100%.
Every day, every minute of the day, because there's so many
Hmm.
things that are happening right now that can scare people. But again, and I talk about this a lot with sponsees, is like staying in your circle of control. You have to, the things that you can control in your life really come down to the way that you react to situations that happen to you and around you. And I I just won't give in to the nonsense that happens. Like I will not, you'll never see me get upset over traffic or somebody cutting me off or somebody not knowing, putting their blinker on. I've seen people, wink, wink, lose their mind over something like that. And I just, that just does not concern me at all. If I'm sitting in traffic, it means that I'm meant to sit there and stop and be stuck and just deal, and maybe think about,
Right.
it's just be present. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
here's the other thing. If you are rooted in the present moment, you can't be fearful,
right.
because what you have is just right there in front of you, and then it's
Yes,
gone.
that's right.
It's gone. I mean, sure, there's a million, multi-millions of things to be fearful of or anxious about.
Yeah,
It's the willingness to have faith that there's something else at work on your behalf. And regardless of how much control you try to have over it or how fearful you are of it, it's going to happen the way it is meant to happen for you.
that's right. That's exactly right.
I
And
am sure that was difficult for you when Hunter was sick, though, not to be afraid.
yeah, I mean, it's just a practice that you have to just think about it. We are so, Sue, we are so freaking programmed from such a young age of what's acceptable and what's not, and what you need to be afraid of and what you don't. And I'm 56 years old and I'm trying to reprogram myself
Yes.
and be like, there's no reason to be afraid. Like, this is
No.
all planned out for you, Deb. Like, this is all, and you're good. Just live in the present moment and and be grateful and thankful. And that's, what I do. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. That is how I'm trying to live.
So
Really.
did you guys come up with some good ideas as a group, as a whole, when you were able to let go of the fear of this possibly taking place or happening in the future, and work together to put each other's minds at ease?
Yeah, there were some good ideas that were tossed back and forth, and I know a lot of people are just really focusing on their
Hmm.
day-to-day activities. So, I expect some more to be coming through as well. But There's nothing, there's no mistakes in this world. So it's going to be okay. And there's other executive orders that are coming down. I mean, we can talk eons about what's happening and with ICE and all of this stuff. But we're not going to live in fear. We are not
Agreed.
going to live in fear. We are,
Agreed.
we're going to acknowledge that things are tough right now, but we are also going to acknowledge that we are held by our higher power, and we're going to get through this, but we need to be kind and gentle with ourselves and with others.
Agreed. I had a brief conversation with somebody the other day, I think probably after one of my classes, and all this anxiety and fear was coming up, based on who was put in office. And I don't ever talk about politics. But I just, what I was saying to this person who was kind of fearful and complaining kind of at the same time. And I said, well, why don't you just become part of the solution?
Very good.
Why don't you stop being afraid and create something that
Yeah.
addresses that?
Yeah. Well, and there's fear, but there's a lot of anger. Oof, I don't like anger.
Yeah.
Anger is so dark. I
It's
can't.
but anger and fear both zap
Yeah.
your energy. It
Yeah.
takes so much energy to live in those spaces.
Right. And it's just so heavy and dark. Um, so all right, I'm going to touch on this real quick because I know, do we have to go?
No, we got a little bit of time.
Okay. So I'm going to flip the switch a little bit to something that has brought me so much joy. I cannot even tell you. Uh,
Okay. And
so
it's not sending me pictures of frozen iguanas dropping to the ground,
no,
because
no,
that brings me a lot of joy.
it does. I'll keep sending them then. So my mom is turning 80 in a couple weeks. And well, at the end of February, the 22nd. I know. And it's a big deal because we almost lost her last year to a pulmonary embolism. But she's with us. She's doing amazing. So we are throwing a party for her on February 15th. It's not a surprise. So everybody, so no need to not talk about it. But
Mhm.
anyways, this gift that I'm giving her is so cool. And by the time this airs, she will have already gotten the gift.
Okay, so what is that?
So I found it on Etsy, and it's this printout, or you can order it as a picture, but I'm going to have it printed out. And it says 80 things we love about you.
Oh,
And then it's all typed out like, I love you because blah, 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 blah. Love you because blah, 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 blah. And so I reached out to my brothers, my nephews, her best friends, all of the family that's going to be there, and
hmm
friends that are of their friends that are going to be there, and her sisters. And they have been sending me the reasons why they love her. And it is just melting my heart.
Love it.
And I
I
keep,
love it.
every time they send me something, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And so I can only use, maybe 5 of everybody's things, but they're going to go around at the party and read their list to her.
Oh, awesome.
So part of some of the things on the list will be on the actual framed printout, and the other things they're going to read to her and then give her. But I keep thinking to myself, that's the legacy I want to leave behind.
Oh, amen. I love that.
It's amazing. It's so good.
I love that. She's going to just die.
I mean,
Not
how
literally.
nice can you feel so loved, and specific reasons, like,
Right. Right. Like people actually took the time
yeah,
to put down in words what she actually means to them.
My aunt wrote, I love you because you held me in your warm arms when I told you I was pregnant.
Oh,
And my aunt had to give up her son for adoption. And
oh
like,
my
I
God.
never knew that. I didn't know that like my mother held her while she cried, but she did. And that's why, one of the things she loves about her,
That's
and
so awesome. That is so awesome.
so it's brought me so much joy being able to put all those things together.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
So I choose to live in that.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's such a better place. 100%, such a better place.
Yeah.
Well, you look like it's a little warmer down there. It's still cold here, so you might not have to be dodging any frozen iguanas
Yeah, no, that might
today
be
or
over.
tomorrow,
But
but
if I see any,
um
I'll send them pictures your way.
and these conversations just bring me so much peace. So I hope it does the same for you and for anybody who's listening. So till next time, namaste. Love you,
Yes.
dear. Love you.
Namaste. Love you all. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.